everyone, this is Mayher117, and today I would like to do a short tutorial on the function of the semi-automatic New Haven Mossberg 250C22 long rifle. To start out, I will just give a little bit of information about the gun itself. It shoots the 22 long shell, which is this right here. And this is a very common round, and the 22 is rim fire, which means that the firing pin will strike the outer edge of this back surface instead of the middle, like you see in every other bullet. But it will strike the very outer edge, which will ignite the powder and propel the bullet forward. This is a 10-round magazine, and it just simply loads just like any other magazine. Just push it in and slide it back. The gun itself is only about 2.5 feet long. It has a trigger and a safety right here. Now, see the little red dot? That means the safety is off. You push it back and the safety is on when the little red dot's covered. So off, on. It has the main bolt right here, and then the main spring running back here, which keeps the bolt pressed forward. You have your bolt lock, which is also the knob to manually cycle the weapon, which pulls the bolt back, as you can see. This rib that is running up the length of the bolt is actually home to what is called the extractor. It is a little metal piece with a little hook on it that once you have fired around, it is going to snag on to the very back. You can see this little ridge on the back of the 22 round. Okay, it's going to snag onto the very back and pull it out of the chamber. Okay, and as it does that, to eject it out of the breech, which is this hole right here, as you can see, it's that hole. To eject it out of the breech, the extractor is going to pull it back, and on this side there's a little metal piece that's going to hit eventually, and then it's going to use the hook as a pivot point, and as the bolt continues back, it's going to pull that edge out and turn it like this, and which will eventually carry the momentum out of the gun, and it will cycle a new round. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load this and start this tutorial. The magazine has this little rail on the back, which just slides onto this little metal piece in the magazine receiver, just like so. Okay. At this point, I do have to load the first round, so I'll show you what that's like. In the back here, there is actually a place you can kind of see this first hole doesn't go all the way through, and this knob, if you push it all the way in, will actually lock in that hole. But as you watch the bolt, I have to pull it back, and the round pops up. You saw that? Okay, and then I let it go. Now I'm doing it slow, so it may not load properly the first time. Okay, so and it pushes the bullet. You can kind of see the edge of the brass right there all the way in. The little hook for the extractor pops around that edge. You can hear that, and now it is holding the shell securely into this part of the barrel, which is the chamber. This area is the chamber. So now I have chambered around. Now with actual use, at this point I would aim at my target and pull the trigger. Running along the top of the bolt is what is called a firing pin. I will pull the trigger, which will push the firing pin forward through a series of mechanisms running in the handle, and it will strike the very upper edge of that rim I was showing you on the back of the 22 shell, at which point the powder inside the shell will ignite and expand in a gaseous way, and there is enough to push the bullet at extremely high speeds out the front. But there is so much gas up in here collecting that the manufacturers decide, instead of just letting it all go out the front, why not utilize it and actually have it push the bolt back. This is what we call a straight blowback system, because as that powder ignites, it is going to build, push the bullet forward, push the shell casing back, and in that process it's also going to push the bolt back, and you can see that in there. Now it's being pulled out of the chamber by the little hook extractor, and on this side there is that flat metal piece called the ejector, and as it comes back, it's going to, as you see, it pivoted just a little bit, but I didn't go fast enough, so it wasn't quite effective, but it pivoted, and it would normally have carried that momentum out the front of the gun. Okay, at which point another round from the magazine will pop up, and this will come forward, push the round into the chamber, and then the gun is ready to fire one more time. You pull the trigger, it pulls the shell casing out, the extractor is acting as a pivot point, it hits the ejector, flies out, another another round pops up, and the bolt pushes it forward into the chamber, and the whole process starts over again. This is the semi-automatic system, which means you can only fire one round per pull the trigger, but you don't actually have to load each round manually. So you just have to pull the trigger and pull the trigger once, but it will only fire one round per trigger pull. This pretty much concludes the tutorial on the New Haven Mossberg 250C 22 long rifle. I appreciate you guys viewing my videos, and I hope to submit more. Thank you.